What's up? You're getting your daily dose of LoweTivation. This is episode 240. I wanted to talk to you guys about something that other people have pointed out to me, and then I forget because I've developed this habit over the years. And every time someone reminds me, I'm like, I'll get to that, I'll work on it, but it's kind of a big deal. And what I'm talking about, psychologically wise, would be self-defense mechanisms. I think a lot of us can relate to that. I think a lot of us have some, and we might not even know that we have some self-defense mechanisms set up psychologically. What happens normally is people will go through some kind of traumatic event when they're younger, normally, and they'll not enjoy it because it'll suck balls, and so they'll decide to psychologically come up with a way to defend themselves so they don't have to deal with that trauma again. And sometimes, you could think of a healthy way. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know what a healthy self-defense mechanism could be, but I definitely know about an unhealthy self-defense mechanism. An example would be my comedy. When I was younger, I went through a lot of crazy shit, stuff that kids should not see at all, maybe even some adults. So yeah, trauma, didn't want to deal with it, and going through it a lot, I realized that it sucked, and that obviously laughing, making jokes, being silly, making other people feel better made me feel better, even when times were tough, or even if I was depressed and I wasn't telling anybody. It made me a little, or feel a little bit better to make jokes and make other people happy, even if I wasn't. Now, the really bad part about the self-defense mechanism, when I was younger and people would bully me and I would get beat up a lot, I used to just let it happen, and it just sucked, and it would happen all the time. Then, as I got even older and I started to gain weight, people started bullying me pretty damn bad. And right away, I already knew that I love to make people laugh. I love to distract myself and other people when I'm not feeling great. And obviously getting bullied and being made fun of sucked. So I realized that these people that were bullying me, I was young, I didn't know at the time that they probably were going through their own stuff, but what I did know was that they sucked at making fun of me. And being that I loved being funny since I was a kid, every time they'd make fun of me, in my mind I would be offended because I'm like, I could come up with way better shit than what they're saying about me. So my self-defense mechanism that I created at a very young age was to bully myself and make fun of myself way better than anybody else could. And that way they wouldn't even try, or they would be too busy laughing at whatever I said rather than coming up with a way to bully me. And building that self-defense mechanism at a very young age, I think once you get further and further away from it, being that I'm an adult now, I don't realize when I'm doing it sometimes. Now, when people point it out, because sometimes I make jokes about myself that are pretty deep, pretty fucked up, and I don't even realize it, and I'm just doing it because I've been doing it as a self-defense mechanism for so long, it's just normal to me. But then somebody who's not used to it, or somebody who even has been used to it but still hates that I do it, will point out that I made a very degrading joke about myself that just went way too far. And I think if that is your kind of self-defense mechanism, just like it is for me, you might think it's okay because you're degrading yourself. You're not making fun of anybody else. So you're not gonna offend anybody, blah, 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 because you're making fun of yourself. But the root of those people pointing it out is that sometimes it can be very harmful psychologically to go through with a self-defense mechanism such as mine, where I'm degrading myself because I don't want anybody else to do it. When in fact, nobody should be degrading me, even myself, in most cases. Now, it gets a little touchy because I want to be a comedian, so making fun of yourself and being down on yourself in certain ways can be funny and can make other people relate to you. But for me, I'm gonna have to dive deeper into that and try to stop myself when it goes too far, or just look and see what my intentions are behind what I'm saying about myself. Because sometimes it might be something that's funny for stand-up comedy and that doesn't harm me psychologically because I know that I'm not saying that out of hate for myself. But sometimes there have been some pretty harsh things that I've said. So that's all. Just want to say, you know, psychologically, you might want to look and see if you have any self-defense mechanisms that are not healthy, and dive into that. Look and see where it developed, why you're doing it, and you can make some progress on being happier and not have to use that self-defense mechanism. That is all I wanted to say today. So whatever you're going through, whatever you're up to, whatever journey you're on, or whatever journey you're about to start, I'm right here working on the unhealthy self-defense mechanisms, and much love.